Living close to the land changes how you notice things. You begin to realize that the most important systems are often the quietest ones. Soil forms slowly. Water follows the same paths year after year. The seasons change, whether we're paying attention or not. And when something in that system begins to shift, it usually does so quietly, long before the change becomes obvious. That way of seeing doesn't stop at the edge of a field or the end of our local road. It scales. There are systems on this planet that operate on the same principles. Slow, cumulative, and easy to overlook, simply because they sit far outside our daily lives. This is Antarctica. Vast, cold, and almost entirely empty. There are no towns here, no permanent human presence, very little life at all, in fact, which makes it easy, almost natural, not to think about what happens in places like this at all. Our daily lives, our attention moves quickly from one concern to the next, but these systems continue on their own timelines, governed not by the opinion or urgency of our lives, but by physics itself. And what happens here does not stay here. This particular place has a name. It's called Thwaites Glacier. It lies in West Antarctica, facing the Amundsen Sea, far from any settlement, far from any border. On a map, it doesn't immediately stand out, but in reality it's enormous, almost the size of the United Kingdom, around 80% in fact. It isn't dramatic, it doesn't rise like a mountain or collapse in a moment. It's a vast, slow-moving body of ice, flowing steadily towards the ocean. To understand why this glacier matters, it helps to understand how it works. Much of the ice here doesn't sit on land above sea level. It rests on bedrock that lies below the ocean's surface. At the front, the glacier extends out into the sea, forming a floating ice shelf. That shelf acts like a brake, slowing down the flow of ice behind it. Beneath the shelf, warmer ocean water can circulate, thinning it from below. When that support weakens, the ice inland can begin to move more freely toward the ocean. This isn't sudden, and it isn't dramatic. It's a slow shift in balance, governed entirely by physics. And that matters, because what we're looking at here is not a sudden event. It isn't a disaster in the way we usually imagine one. No explosions, no single moment of collapse. Thwaites is a slow system. It responds over years and decades, sometimes faster, sometimes slower, but always according to the same physical rules. That makes it easy to ignore, not because it isn't important, but because it doesn't demand our attention all at once. But when you look at it this way, it becomes clear why places like this rarely hold our attention. There is no single movement to point to, no date on a calendar, no sound that announces what's happening. Change here doesn't arrive as drama, it arrives as imbalance. Warmer water reaching further beneath the ice, the line where ice meets bedrock shifting slowly inland. There are small movements measured in meters and degrees, but they occur across a system hundreds of kilometers wide. And once set in motion, they don't respond to opinion or intention or even awareness. They respond only to energy, gravity, and time. Seen from this distance, the Earth feels whole. No human borders, no priorities, no sense of what we choose to notice and what we don't. The forces shaping it continue regardless, quietly, consistently. And whether we're watching or not, they remain, governed again by the same physics. It is therefore for us to be aware how quietly these systems support us, regulating oceans, balancing temperatures, holding the world in a state we've come to depend upon. They don't adapt to our priorities. They don't respond to our attention. They simply continue, governed by the same rules that they always have done. And because of that, it's worth remembering how carefully we live within them.